The rain was relentless that night, falling in sheets that turned the neon-lit streets into mirrors. Jimi walked through them like a man who had forgotten the meaning of fear, his boots splashing through puddles, his coat heavy with water. In his arms, wrapped in torn silver cloth, was Oshi, an alien woman whose skin shimmered faintly even beneath the dirt and bruises. She was barely conscious, her breath shallow, but her gaze never left his face. People noticed. They couldn't help it. No human had carried an alien into the heart of the city in decades, not since the truce collapsed and both worlds turned their backs on each other. Some froze where they stood, staring from beneath umbrellas. When others whispered, their voices carrying between the rain and the hiss of street lamps. Is that... it can't be. An exile. Here. The word exile spread faster than the water pooling along the gutters. In the city's memory, exiled aliens were dangerous, untouchable, traitors even to their own kind. But to Jimi, she was something else entirely. She was the reason he was still alive. 6 months ago, Jimi had disappeared. No one saw him leave, and no one expected him back. The truth of where he had gone was a story no one would believe, not the choking air of the alien mining colonies, not the crimson glow of skies that never knew night, and not the day he had been thrown into a pit with chains around his wrists awaiting execution. Oshi had been there too, but she wasn't his executioner. She had been a prisoner, accused of treachery against her own people. They called her a liar, a conspirator, a danger to the fragile balance of their society. They stripped her of her name, her rights, her title, everything but her will to survive. When the guards came for him, Oshi had acted. No hesitation, no fear. She had broken the rules that bound her, cutting through chains and cutting through soldiers with the same precision. He didn't ask her why she saved him. She didn't ask why he followed her after. And now, here they were, back on Earth, a place no alien exile should ever step foot again. The city skyline loomed above them, jagged and glittering, but behind its beauty lay danger. Humans had learned to hate what they didn't understand, and the sight of Oshi in Jimi's arms would ignite something far worse than curiosity. A man in a hood stepped forward from the crowd, eyes narrowing. "You can't bring her here," he muttered. "You know what they'll do to both of you." Jimi kept walking. He didn't look left or right. Every step was heavy, not just from the weight of the woman in his arms, but from the knowledge of what awaited them. Oshi stirred, her voice faint but clear. "Why, here?" she asked. Her words were accented, shaped by a tongue not made for human speech. He glanced down at her. "Because there's nowhere else left." The rain grew colder, the street narrower. Somewhere ahead, a siren began to wail. The city's eyes were turning toward them, and every passing second pulled them deeper into the jaws of something neither of them could escape. They didn't know it yet, but by the end of the night, the fate of two worlds would begin to shift, all because one man had refused to let go of the exiled alien girl, and she had refused to let him die. And the city was about to decide whether to protect them or tear them apart. By the next morning, the city was breathing their names like a curse. In the market squares, in shadowed tea houses, in the sterile corridors of the municipal towers, Jimi and the alien woman were already a story. And like all dangerous stories, the truth was drowned beneath layers of fear and invention. Some swore she was a spy, a harbinger sent to soften human defenses before the alien fleets returned. Others claimed she carried a sickness, something that could spread with a breath or a touch. A few whispered of her beauty, how her skin shimmered faintly under light, like a living fragment of a distant nebula, and how beauty in this city could be just as deadly as any weapon. The name Oshi was not spoken often. It was a relic from another life, a name stolen from her the day she was cast out. Her people had stripped her of every mark of belonging, declaring her an outcast, A fate worse than death in the great cities of her homeworld. They had accused her of aiding rebels, of leaking council secrets to enemy factions. The sentence had been exiled to the dust moons, a slow execution by isolation, starvation, and despair. But despair had never suited Oshi. Jimi had seen the truth in the way she moved, deliberate, precise, yet always aware of the exits. He had heard pieces of her past in the pauses between her words. A father who never forgave her for speaking out, a sister who testified against her to save her own rank, and a mentor whose sudden disappearance left Oshi the perfect scapegoat. He didn't know why it mattered so much to him, maybe because in her eyes he saw the same thing people saw in his, a refusal to be broken, even when the world demanded it. Still, the city didn't care about truth. Officials from the Foreign Affairs Bureau arrived at the docks before noon, escorted by human security forces and flanked by two tall figures in glistening black armor, alien envoys. They spoke in a tongue few humans understood, their voices low and cold. "She is a danger to the balance," one of them said through a translator. "She must be returned to face judgment." Jimi stood between them and Oshi, feeling the weight of every watching eye. "She's not going anywhere," he said. That single defiance spread through the crowd like fire. Some murmured support, others spat in disgust. Deals were already being whispered in back rooms, alien technology in exchange for the outcast's capture. It was a tempting trade for a city struggling to keep its lights on. Oshi said nothing, only watching him with that steady, unblinking gaze. He knew she was thinking the same thing he was. The longer they stayed, the smaller their world became. By sundown, the whispers had turned into hunts, and in the narrow alleys where light barely reached, shadowed figures began to follow. Night came heavy, pressing down on the city like a lid on a boiling pot. The rain had stopped, but the streets still glistened, reflecting fractured patterns of light. Jimi led Oshi through the back alleys, avoiding the main roads where patrol drones drifted like silent predators. Every few steps, he glanced behind them. The shadows were too deep, and the footsteps that didn't belong to them were too frequent. They were being hunted, not just by human security, but by others. The first sign came in the form of a faint metallic hiss. From a rooftop above, a shard of blue light cut through the air, embedding itself into the wall beside Jimmy's head. He didn't need to see the shooter to know what it was. Alien tracking darts, each one capable of broadcasting a target's position across systems. Oshi reacted instantly. Her hand closed around his wrist, yanking him into the darkness between two collapsed buildings. "They found us," she whispered. Her voice was low, but it carried a steel edge, the voice of someone who had run for her life before. "They?" Jimi asked, but he already knew. "Hunters," she said, "paid to bring me back, alive if possible, dead if cheaper." It made sense. The envoy's polite demands earlier had just been theater. The real effort was happening here in the rain-slick shadows where there were no witnesses. The first hunter appeared at the end of the alley, armor gleaming like oil, visor glowing faintly red. Another dropped down behind them, the soft thud of boots on wet concrete sealing their escape route. Jimmy's pulse surged, but his mind didn't freeze. He remembered the pit on the alien colony world, the crowd roaring for blood, and Oshi standing between him and the executioners. This time, it was his turn. He moved fast, grabbing a length of rusted pipe from the ground. The hunter in front advanced, a blade extending from his wrist with a whisper of metal. Oshi stepped forward, her movements sharp and fluid, a deadly echo of the training she'd been forbidden to use. The fight was brutal and close. Steel met steel in bursts of sparks. Jimi ducked under a swing, feeling the wind of the blade pass where his neck had been. Oshi struck like lightning, her hand gripping the hunter's armor and twisting, a move that shouldn't have been possible for someone her size, but left him crashing to the ground. The second hunter lunged. Jimi blocked the strike with the pipe, the impact sending pain through his arms. The blade tore through metal, nicking his shoulder. Warmth spread down his sleeve, but he didn't let go. He swung hard, the sound of breaking glass filling the alley as the hunter's visor shattered. When it was over, both hunters lay unmoving, their armor scorched where Oshi had disabled their power cores. Jimi was breathing hard, his shoulder throbbing. "You're hurt," she said. He shook his head. "Not enough to stop." Her eyes softened for just a moment, an expression he'd seen only once before, on the day she saved him, but then her gaze shifted past him toward the mouth of the alley where more shadows gathered. "Then we run," she said, and they did, side by side, as the line between survival and trust became the only thing keeping them alive. By the third night, running was no longer enough. The hunts had driven Jimi and Oshi to the city's edge, where the lights thinned and the land fell away into the dark open plains. Waiting there, under a stretch of endless sky, was a craft unlike anything Earth had built, smooth, black, and silent, its shape shifting subtly as though it breathed. They didn't need to be told what it meant. The alien envoys had come for the final time, and this time there would be no alleys to hide in. A pale figure emerged from the ship, robes flowing like liquid shadow. His voice was deep and steady when he spoke, the translator implant in Jimi's ear making the alien words sound human. "The council has agreed to hear the truth," he said, "but the truth will be taken from you, not told." Jimi looked at Oshi, but she didn't flinch. "It's the trial of Oracle," she said quietly. "They will open our minds, see our memories. We won't be able to lie." They stepped into the vessel. The air inside was warm, almost heavy, filled with a faint hum that seemed to vibrate in their bones. At the center was a chamber with a ceiling of transparent crystal. Stars burned above, so bright and close it felt as though they were suspended in space itself. Oshi stood at one end of the chamber, Jimi at the other. Between them, a circle of alien elders formed, their skin patterns shifting in slow hypnotic waves. When the trial began, there was no warning. A cold pressure struck Jimi's mind, pulling him backward through his own memories, through the alien colony pits, through the moment Oshi's blade cut his chains, through the long nights of flight across hostile worlds. The elders saw it all as he had seen it, felt the pounding of his heart, the raw panic, the relief when she first spoke his name. Then came Oshi's turn. Jimi watched her stiffen as her own memories spilled into the chamber. He saw her standing before the alien council on her homeworld, accused by her own blood. He saw the sister's eyes avoid hers, the father's face carved from stone, the sentence falling like a blade. He felt the isolation of the dust moons, the sting of sand against skin, the endless hunger. But there was something else. The truth buried beneath the accusation. Oshi had not betrayed her people. She had uncovered the warlord's corruption, the sale of her world's secrets to enemies for power. The council had needed a scapegoat, and she had been chosen. The elders in the chamber shifted, their skin colors rippling in debate. Some voices rose sharp and accusing, others calm and persuasive. The verdict was balanced on the edge of a blade. Finally, the lead elder spoke. Her truth is clear, yet her actions defied the council's will. Such defiance cannot go unpunished. Before Jimi could protest, the ground shuddered beneath them. A distant alarm echoed through the ship, and outside the crystal ceiling, the stars flared red. An urgent voice broke through the trial stillness. A solar storm is approaching. All vessels must evacuate planetary orbit immediately. The elder's ritual was broken. The trial was over, but no verdict had been given. And as the chamber dissolved, the solar storm came like a living wall of fire. Through the crystal ceiling of the alien vessel, Jimi saw the sky ignite, a swirling torrent of gold and crimson light racing toward Earth. The alien elders broke from their circle, their calm composure dissolving into clipped orders and hurried movement. Alarms wailed, the hum of the ship deepened as power conduits flared to life. The translator in Jimi's ear flooded with urgent words. Shields at maximum, planetary evacuation protocol, solar impact in 17 minutes. Oshi didn't wait for instructions. She was already moving toward the vessel's central control dais, her hands running over alien glyphs that shimmered under her touch. The elders watched her warily, but none stopped her. In moments like this, survival erased politics. Jimi followed, his shoulder still aching from the fight in the alley days before. "What are you doing?" She didn't look up. "Their shield frequency is wrong. It will fail before the second wave." "You can fix it?" Her eyes flicked to his, calm, certain. "I'm the one who designed it." It was a truth she had never spoken before, and it hit him like a blow. All this time, the same council that had branded her a traitor had been using her work to protect their fleets. And now, without her, they would burn. Her fingers danced over the console, rerouting power from the ship's weapons to its planetary shield array. Energy surged through the hull, and Jimi felt the faint vibration steady, becoming a low, constant thrum. Outside, the first wave of the solar storm struck. The shield flared bright, bending light around the planet in a shimmering dome. Without the adjustment, the energy would have punched through, frying satellites, blacking out cities, and leaving Earth vulnerable to whatever came next. The lead elder approached, his voice quieter now. "She has saved thousands, perhaps millions." Another elder hissed in reply. "And yet, she still defied us. Mercy is weakness." Jimi stepped forward, his words sharp. "Mercy isn't weakness. It's the only reason any of you are still breathing." The council didn't answer. The storm began to fade, its fury dissolving into streaks of fading light. The ship's alarms went silent. For the first time in days, the city below lay in calm. When the elders finally spoke, it was with the weight of reluctant respect. The death order is rescinded, the exile lifted. She is free to return to her people. Jimi felt his chest tighten. It was what she had deserved from the beginning, but it also meant the end. The lead elder turned to Oshi. "Come home, your place awaits you." Oshi looked at them, then at Jimi. Her gaze lingered, and something unspoken passed between them. The memory of chains broken, nights spent running, and the unshakable truth that they had both chosen each other long before this moment. When she spoke, her voice was steady. "I have a place. It's here." And with that, she stepped away from the council toward Jimi. Outside the ship, the city lights returned, reflecting in her eyes like 1,000 tiny stars. Fate had been ready to kill them. Instead, it had brought them here, together, alive and untouchable.